that down and then start recording. You need to let people know before.
It's starting now.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll do that. Got it.
Yeah, you need to let them know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Good morning, all.
Morning.
Minutes. Lots of you
Morning.
joining us and letting them in. Everyone well?
Very well,
Very
thanks.
good, thank you.
Posh office is Amy.
It's a backdrop, it's not real, Andrew.
To let everyone
I
know
am
we're
on brand
recording
today.
World of AAT. Okay, we'll just wait another minute. More people in. We're catching up. Not bad for a rainy Friday. Oh, slides are up as well. Thanks, Dan.
We are recording this as well, just in case nobody heard.
Darren, if that's your dress down Friday, do you wear a tuxedo Monday to Thursday?
Yeah, top hat, tuxedo, full Jacob Rees-Mogg throughout the week. This is my dress.
Got it.
There's people on here, Darren, that don't know how to dress for dinner, it would seem. Right, okay, we'll make a start. So there, as Dan just mentioned, we are recording this presentation this hour, so presentation will be available online afterwards. So if there's anything that you've missed or you'd like to share with other people, then that opportunity is there. So thank you very much, first of all, for joining us for what is our second Made Inside Britain presentation. My name is Andy Richardson, and along with colleagues from Ants Junction and Timpsons, we'll be doing the presenting today. We'll have ample time for questions at the end as well. So, but before we go into the slides, we'd just like to share with you a short video that we believe really supports and underpins just why Made Inside Britain is so important to us all. So, do you want to off you go, Dan? Thank you.
New Futures Network is part of Her Majesty's Prison and Probation Service, and we're a part of the service that is specifically involved in partnering up businesses to work with prisons. And the objective of that is to see men and women into employment on release.
Key to the Made Inside Britain project is that the men that are coming through the workshops find skills, experience and qualifications that are in demand in the marketplace. The fact that they've come out of prison is less important to the employer because they will have those desirable skills that are in demand in the labour market.
It's very important to us that when people leave prison at the end of their sentence, they have the opportunity to gain employment and to contribute to society as an employee. In my view, that's what prison is about, is gradually giving people a sense of earned responsibility.
The businesses we work with inside the prison have worked with us often for years and years and years, and have seen the benefits of doing that.
The employers who do take you on, they see you pass as a prisoners and put that typical label on you.
When I got here, I got signed up for the CSCS course. That's led to a labouring job for me. They're taking a chance on you when they don't have to. For them to come in and want to work with you, it's brilliant. Makes you feel part of the community again.
We've been employing people from prison all over the UK and Ireland, and we're now the biggest employer of ex-offenders. If we didn't give people the opportunity to start again in employment, then we would be overlooking some of our finest people. We have a retention rate of our ex-offenders of 80.4%, which is exactly the same level as those we recruit from the street. And I believe they should be given all the opportunities that everybody else has.
Okay, so what you're going to hear today. Well, the purpose of today is to inform, announce, and hopefully inspire all of you to get involved at one layer or another, at one level or another. You should take away an initial understanding of what Made Inside Britain can do for your business, how it could help you grow, recruit a new workforce, and also the support that's on offer, the unique level of support that's on offer. You'll hear from our partners in the project, Ants Junction, and also from Timsons about their experience of working with serving prisoners and prison leavers. And finally, you should discover how you can get involved and what the process and incredibly tight timescales are. As I said earlier, there'll be ample time for questions at the end of the launch presentation. So please, if we can try and keep them to the end, but by all means, feel free to use the chat room. Okay, so go on to the next slide. Thanks, Dan. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what New Futures Network is, or NFN, as we're often referred to. New Futures Network was created as a specialist department within the prison service with one clear aim, and that's getting more prison leavers into work. I represent Cumbria and Lancashire prisons, and my Made Inside Britain colleague for NFN, Lucy Williams, supports the establishments across Greater Manchester, Merseyside and Cheshire. And between us, that's 14 prisons. Now, NFN is the conduit between prisons, employers and candidates. It's our job to increase opportunities for all. And we do this through developing meaningful relationships with employers for new job opportunities, but also while introducing and managing processes that make recruitment through the prison system possible. NFN also works with prison colleagues in education as well to better prepare prisoners for work. That's a core aim of Made Inside Britain. There are 17 of us, 17 regional brokers or employment leads and 5 national sector leads in NFN, along with a small central management and support function. We refer to this as the hub and spoke model. Okay, so now I'm just going to hand over to Christian to talk about Ants Junction.
So yeah, we're extremely proud to be working with NFN on the Made Inside Britain project. Ants Junction are a charity born out of Greater Manchester. We're just over 10 years old now, and we work with people, support people from disaffected communities, those that are distanced from society and from employment. We work with a wide range of people. As I say, we're born out of Greater Manchester, but now present in 26 locations across the country. We've supported through many programs, including we used to have a social enterprise site in Swinton, and we've worked supporting over 5,000 people in those 10 years on various different programs. The programs that are going to be key, and we'll talk about a little bit later, to the Made Inside Britain are Through the Gate and a business mentor program that's going to support the Made Inside Britain project. But just a couple of things. We work very closely with the private sector. Up until the last couple of years, we were about 95% privately funded. Just to scale some of our programs recently, we've got some funding from elsewhere, like we have for this Made Inside Britain project. And our mission at Ants Junction is we believe that everybody should have the opportunity to achieve their full potential, to regain a sense of value and self-worth within their community. And our vision is to create a society in which opportunities and possibilities for everyone are equal.
Okay,
Thanks,
so
Andrew.
yeah, thanks, Christian. So what's Made Inside Britain? What's it all about? Well, it's funded first of all by the Local Leadership Integration Fund, which is part of a broader prison leaver project, a £20 million government investment into piloting innovative methods of reducing reoffending. The project was awarded the funding it received to see if we can generate more job outcomes through supporting and encouraging employers to open commercial workshops in prisons that upskill those in custody to undertake the jobs via ROTL or release on temporary licence or through employment on release. Now, workshops can also take the format of an academy model where training and qualifications are provided. But whichever is used, what is critical is that the method chosen leads to work either with the employer, their supply chain, or that there is a clear northwest skills shortage and jobs available for that prisoner to go into upon release. One thing we really want to stress is that real work environments should be employer-led. And by that we mean delivering training and a work experience that is as near to the real working world as is possible in a prison. And we want prisoners to gain as close to real workplace skills as possible. I'll talk about real work environments in more detail shortly, but being part of Made Inside Britain will also support and demonstrate as an employer your commitment to the social value agenda. And we believe this will be a USP for any business we work with, helping both your CSR and future tenders where social value is a key element, and an increasing one at that. So the LIFT project aims to test innovative ways of breaking down any silo working and drawing on the experience of many of the valued partners that work in prisons now, some of which are on the call today. Creating systemic change is a clear goal, and we will endeavour to include all partners from DWP, IAG, probation, etc., in the work to drive positive outcomes through the steering and governance structure that underpins and manages the project. Okay. And I suppose this aspect really is also measured and recorded, as is every element of Made Inside Britain. There's a huge evaluation piece that runs alongside it, and that's carried out by the University of Kent and Insight Research Specialist Tonic. Now they're with us all the way. They're capturing any successes and failures with the aim of producing a very detailed report that we hope will influence and hopefully encourage future investment of this nature. So I think it's back to you now, Christian. No, it's not. It's back to me still. Sorry. So continuing with that. So Made Inside Britain aims to understand what works and what doesn't work in creating job opportunities. If a real work environment is successful, it'll be sustainable after the LIFT project as the seed funding is finished, which is February 23. And how it should work is either through commercial benefit to the employer through goods and services that they're producing, or through positive recruitment outcomes. So it's got to exist way after the project closes. That's the main ambition. And I'll talk about, I'll go into real work environments in more detail shortly. But also match funding is a requirement of the bid. And this can either be met by straight finance or in-kind match funding, where bidders calculate their input from items such as your time, staff, it could be intellectual property, that contribution. We're looking to support or to open 4 to 6 workshops, approximately, and this is approximately, around the £30,000 to £40,000 available per initiative. We haven't set a limit on this deliberately, as we want to evaluate each bid on its own merits and in the round on that. But I kind of think that gives you an example of the kind of scale that we're looking at with that by putting a limit, by putting a figure on it. Although, as I say, it's not exact. But to give you an idea of what can actually be funded, it can fund prisoner wages. It could be utilities and rent, staff, equipment rental, costs of training, accreditation, but it can't fund capital, building repairs. So if prisons are asking for new roofs, etc., it's not that. This has got to, what we're looking for with the MIB funding, and it doesn't leave any money in an asset register anywhere, so if that's the steer. And there's full details on all of this will be available. We have a specification document, and that'll be sent to everyone at the end of this presentation, be emailed to you, and that gives the full detail and along with an expression of interest form. So it's back to you now, Ants, isn't it?
Thanks, Andrew. So Ants Junction's role within the Made Inside Britain project is that we will be supporting in 2 clear areas, with a through the gate support and a business mentoring support. Our through the gate programme has been developed since 2012, working with a number of prisons, predominantly Forest Bank in Great Manchester and Bronzefield down south. And we've developed this programme in supporting individuals with an overlay service to existing prison services and signposting them both to prison services, but also external support in the third sector, so drug and alcohol support, charities, etc. And we've got a fine record of working with individuals coming out of prison, reducing reoffending. Our reoffending rates in our Through the Gate programme are sub 4%. Since 2013, and we've got plenty of examples where we've enabled people coming through the gates and supported them. Our goal is always to get them into employment, but we realise that for many people there are a number of steps that they need to make before they're actually work ready. Some examples of our process: we engage with somebody in the prison up to 6 months, sometimes up to 12 months before their release date. And we really try and engage and build that relationship with that individual and build up that trust. And we've got plenty of examples. One springs to mind with a gentleman that was leaving prison, knew that he'd be struggling on where to go and live. He had a young family, but he hadn't engaged with his father for a number of years, and we brokered a relationship with his father to the extent his father picked him up when he left prison, and he stayed and lived with his father for 6 months until we found him work and he got into a job and he can afford a place of his own. And there's lots of examples like that we of the way that we support people through the gate. Overlaying that is we have our business mentor program, and we believe this is key to our success in working with individuals when they leave those prison gates. We engage people leaving prison with a business mentor prior to their release. So again, trying to get that relationship developed before they walk out the gates. And the business mentor, we tend to work with relatively senior people within business. We engage them with individuals. On many occasions, they wouldn't usually come in contact with people that are in prison or coming out of prison. So it's a real eye-opener for them. They start to understand the reasons why people are in prison and some of the challenges that those individuals have in integrating themselves back into society and back into employment. And it's a real two-way street in that both I think the benefit for that individual leaving prison is probably open for all to see, but also for the business mentor to break down those preconceptions and ideals that they have around individuals leaving prison, which is really, really important. So from a business mentor perspective, why get involved? There's the obvious reasons there around you're doing the right thing, you're supporting somebody that needs some additional support in order to integrate back in society and employment. But for you as a business mentor, you will get a hell of a lot out of that as well. We've got plenty of examples of where business mentors have used the supply chain of their business to get jobs for people that are interested and that sort of thing. So you'll get a lot of value from that. What we ask for being a business mentor is your time, and that equates to usually an hour or two a month to support that individual, and in return for that we get some fantastic results in support.
Okay.
As some examples here, I'm not going to read them all out, but you can see those on the screen. We've got some feedback from both participants and mentors on there. The bottom right, we've got one there that describes the sort of development that individual has as an actual mentor rather than just a participant, and I think that is key. So many times we get feedback from our mentors that how valuable it's been for them to put their lives in perspective, to put their jobs in perspective, and the value that they get from supporting an individual. Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks. Okay, so a little bit more about real work environments, or RWEs. And first question really, well, what are they? Well, they're employer-led, as I mentioned earlier. That's critical because we're wanting to get industry standard behaviours delivered through them. So these are encouraged in the same way that we already have existing workshop operators successfully delivering now in prisons. RWE should either produce or deliver a product or service in the prison, and or prepare participants for recruitment through training, through industry-specific training, so they're ready to take up a post in on release. So existing partners are more than welcome to apply too. This isn't about funding new people, but new opportunities. However, clear expansion over existing workshops will need to be seen, as well as meeting the criteria in the bid specification. So Made Inside Britain is being piloted in the Northwest. So bids cannot be accepted outside of Cumbria, Lancashire, Greater Manchester, Merseyside or Cheshire. And timescales are incredibly tight. I'll touch on that in the next slide. In a couple of slides. But that's the nature of the pilot. Real work environments are to be open by mid-February, February the 14th, and will be funded for exactly 12 months. So simply put, what we need is partners who are agile as we strive to work at this pace, and with prison colleagues as well, we've got to take those with us on this journey. So we've got to work at a real speed to get bids in, refined and set up and agreed, set up and then actually operating for that February the 14th deadline. And the intention is that the seed funding and the support that Christian's just talked about from Ants Junction helps sustain a successful and sustainable model, that can continue to operate, that workshop, that real work environment can continue to offer beyond February 23. Okay, I'm now going to pass over to Darren Burns from Timpsons, and Darren's given us his incredibly valuable time today to share with us Timpsons' experience, because sometimes it's better hearing it, isn't it, from the horse's mouth. So over to you, Darren.
Okay, thank you, Andy. Good morning, everybody. As Andy said, I've been invited here today to talk about the Timpson experience and our kind of ex-offender journey or prison leaver journey, of which we've been a part of now for almost 20 years. Before we go on to talk specifically about how we got started, how we employ prison leavers and why it's good for business and also good for society, I think it can often be quite useful just to kind of set the scene about who we are as a business. So Timpson are one of the oldest businesses on the UK high street. We were founded back in 1865 by our current chairman, John Timpson's great-great-grandfather, William Timpson. So all those years ago, we had one single store in Oldham Street in Manchester, where we used to repair shoes and manufacture shoes. Over the years, obviously, we've diversified, we've evolved, and we've added lots of new services to our repertoire, such as key cutting, watch repairs, engraving, mobile phone repairs, tablet repairs, to name but a few. We've also had a number of quite large acquisitions over the years as well. So back in 2003, we acquired Mr. Minute, who were our only UK competitors. In 2008, we acquired our photo businesses, namely Max Spielman and Snappy Snaps. And as recently as 2014, we bought Johnson's The Cleaners. So we're now the largest dry cleaner business in the UK. We've also got presence in the big four supermarkets. And we also own a chain of barbershops, a number of pubs and restaurants in the Northwest, and are the largest mobile locksmith business in the UK. So we're actually the largest service retailer on the UK high street at the moment. We employ in excess of 5,500 colleagues and have in excess of 2,700 outlets up and down the UK. So what I'm really here to talk about today is the Timpson Foundation, which I'm very, very proud to be a part of. So the Timpson Foundation was founded back in 2002 by our CEO, James Timpson. James was invited into a local prison in the Northwest, namely HMP Thorncross, with a number of other local business leaders. It was James's first visit to a prison, and to be honest, he didn't really know what to expect. James was shown around by a young gentleman named Matt, who was a serving inmate. Matt was very intelligent, very articulate, and James liked him immediately. So James slipped him a business card and said, Matt, when you get released, please give us a call and we'll see if we can get you some work. James was good to his word, as was Matt, and we're very pleased to say that Matt is still with us today and is one of our more successful branch managers. So from that moment on, James began to think that if there's one really good guy like Matt in one small prison in the Northwest, surely there's got to be hundreds, if not thousands of people who just need that opportunity, just need that second chance. So we then began to proactively recruit ex-offenders into the Timpson business. Very pleased to say that we are now one of, if not the largest employer of ex-offenders in the UK. Currently, between 10 and 12% of our whole workforce are made up of people who we've either recruited directly from custody or who've got an offending background. So how do we do it? We've got three main streams of recruitment within the Timpson Foundation. The first one is a scheme called ROTL, which stands for Release on Temporary Licence. And this is essentially where either me or one of my area manager colleagues will strike up a rapport with a resettlement manager or a prison governor and say that we've got a recruitment need in Liverpool, Birmingham, Manchester, wherever it might be in the UK. And we will go in and we will interview maybe 10 or 12 men or women for positions in our network of high street stores. Successful candidates will then be given positions whereby they leave prison every day. And then when they've done a full day's work in one of our branches, they'll return to prison of an evening. And we feel this is not only the best way to integrate people back into society safely, but it's also selfishly a great opportunity for us as a business to build a rapport with these people, find out what makes them tick, and hopefully welcome into the Timpson business when they get released. And we have big success with that. Our other stream of recruitment is that Timpson are synonymous with being ex-offender friendly. So we get lots of referrals from other organisations, but people also feel confident enough and emboldened enough to walk into our branches, declare that they've got a conviction and apply for a job through the normal channels. However, one of our more successful recruitment streams within the foundation is we've got a number of prison academies. So we've actually got 7 academies up and down the UK, and these are a mixture of training and commercial academies. So we'll talk about the training academies first, and these are essentially, if you think of it, a Timpson high street store, what we've actually done is we've picked up the whole kit and caboodle and actually dropped it inside a prison. So rather than the men or the women work on the wings, work on the servery, sweeping up, making tea and coffee for the officers, working in the gym as gym orderlies, things which aren't very vocational and which might not lead to a realistic possibility of employment upon release. Instead, we expect our academy colleagues to turn up every day, looking sharp in Timpson uniform with a name badge on, and we teach them all of our skills and services. So we teach them how to repair shoes, we teach them how to engrave, we teach them how to take ID photos. The only thing we can't teach in a prison setting is key cutting for obvious reasons. Security, I'm never happy with that one for some reason, but everything else we can teach. But not only are we teaching our skills and services, we're also assessing them continually for attitudes and behaviours. And the vast majority of people who go through our academy and graduate will be offered a job upon release. We'll meet them at the gate, we'll give them a travel pass, we'll give them a uniform, and most importantly, we'll give them a job. And we have huge success with that. So that's our training academies. But in addition to that, we've got a number of commercial academies. I think the best way to explain them, we've actually got 3 in Thorncross, which is the prison that we mentioned earlier. So what some of you on the call might not know is that whenever you go into a Timpson store, you might have a particularly tricky job. It could be that you've got a pair of riding boots or motorcycle boots which needs new zips or buckles. The colleagues in the branches might not be skilled enough to sort of carry out these repairs, or might not have the machinery necessary to effect these repairs. So in this case, what we'll do is we'll package your boots up and we'll send them to our commercial workshop at HMP Thorncross. And in HMP Thorncross, we've got a number of our existing Timpson colleagues working alongside very successfully a number of prison colleagues that we've got. And the prison workforce, essentially very highly skilled, highly motivated, very engaged group of people who work alongside our quote unquote regular sort of Timpson colleagues and do a great job. When the repairs have been conducted or completed rather, what we'll do then is we'll package them up, we'll send them back out to the branch, and the customer will be none the wiser. And that is a very, very good sort of fit for our business. It also gives us the opportunity to identify and develop people that we meet in custody and consider them for employment on release. And it really is a credible stream of recruitment for us. The ones who are successful and have got what it takes, again, we meet them at the gate, we give them a job, we give them a travel pass, and they go on often to achieve great things within our business. So that's just an example of kind of 3 of the streams of recruitment within the Timpson Foundation. So that begs the question, why do we do it? So the reasons we do it are split into 2 main groups of reasons. The first ones are the kind of societal reasons. And it's worth noting at Timpson, yes, we're a big business, but we've got a big social conscience. And the work that we do with prison leavers is a very good fit for our culture of kindness and compassion. We genuinely believe that people deserve a second chance. And it's also worth noting that reoffending is reported to cost the UK taxpayer £18 billion a year. Anything that we can do as a business to kind of reduce that taxpayer burden, break that offending cycle, stop people offending and get them into gainful employment has got to be a good thing. 61% of prison leavers will reoffend within 2 years of leaving custody, and that is reduced to 19% if people have got full-time employment. So there's clear evidence there that employment is a key factor to reduce reoffending. It's not the only factor, but it's certainly a very important one. So for us, it's simple. By offering prison leavers an opportunity with employment, everybody wins. The offenders win because they're not getting sent back to prison. The offenders' families wins because they're not losing loved ones to long prison sentences. The taxpayer wins because the taxpayer burden is reduced. But I think more importantly than that, we all win as a society because fewer crimes are committed, our communities are safer, and ultimately fewer victims are created. However, probably the most important set of reasons why we engage with prison leavers is that it's good for business. And I'm glad to say it is, because if it wasn't, I'd likely be out of a job. So it's worth bearing in mind that there's 11 million people in the UK with a conviction more serious than a driving offence. So that's roughly 1/6 of the UK population. So for us as a business to consign that huge swathe of the population to the employment scrap heap and assume that they're worthless, inherently dishonest, untrustworthy, we just think is madness. And where many other businesses refuse to even engage or speak to these people, what we do instead is we have honest sort of chats with these people at the point of interview. We find out what they're about. And instead of focusing on what people have done in the past, instead our focus is on what they can achieve in the future. And it's gone on to be hugely beneficial for our business. In our experience, the prison leavers that we work with are highly loyal. They stay with us longer than people recruited from other streams. Our retention rate is about 81, between 81 and 85%. They're very honest, statistically actually more honest than people that we recruit from the job centre or people that are walking off the street. They're more cost effective to recruit. And also they bring with them lots of kind of life experience and a huge degree of personal resilience. And by that, if you think if somebody can navigate the way through a tough prison sentence and come out the other end, they bring that kind of steely determination with them into our business, which tends to be a very good fit. Ironically as well, the prison colleagues that we recruit are actually a much safer bet than people who are walking off the street. We as a business don't do DBS checks. So people who we recruit off the street are largely an unknown quantity. And the irony is that the prison colleagues that we recruit, we know everything about them. So we're able to make an informed choice at the point of interview. We're also able to attract some very, very talented people that we come across in custody. So I can honestly say for us as a business, our kind of 20-year ex-offender or prison leaver journey has been nothing but positive. So that's in a nutshell how we do it, and more importantly, why we do it.
Thank you very much, Darren. Superb as ever. And I think what's missing there, and I'll say it anyway, Darren, if you don't, is the amount of work and time and hours that Timson's as an organisation, that Darren, of course, and James Timson as CEO, they devote to influencing the whole prison leaver into employment agenda. They do an enormous amount for it, and you know, I saw that firsthand about 18 months ago, going into the Timson's workshop, and finally realised where my Cuban heels went to get repaired when I took them into Morrison's some years ago. But what also strikes you is that when Darren and James go into the workshops, they know the fellas in there. They know who they are, where they're up to. Incredibly personal, approachable, and that's because it's not just a corporate policy, it's absolutely believed all the way through, and it's incredibly well appreciated. Real change agents for what we're doing at Timson's, and you know, we just can't thank you enough for all the time that you give to us, Darren. Okay, so how can you get involved then? So if we just go on to this slide. So there's three main ways that you can get involved in Made Inside Britain. First is to become a host employer. So, and how you do that is submit an expression of interest form. These will be available straight after this meeting on the website addressed below, but we'll be sending those out to you directly. And they're very straightforward. There's 11 questions on there, a financial table, and they all need completing and back to us by the 15th of November. And there it's at that point that an evaluation panel will be sitting down, looking at each bid, the merits, and then matching the successful ones to the prisons where we know we've got opportunity there. So that's basically the process. There's far more detail about it all in the specification document. If you don't wish to open a real work environment but would like to recruit, you think your organisation could benefit from recruiting prison leavers, then get in touch with us. There's an email address there. Please get in touch with us. Either Lucy or myself will be in touch straight away, and we can start that conversation from there on. And the same goes for business mentors as well, as Christian detailed earlier. So if you think, do you know, I can't get involved in a real work environment, employment isn't really my role or what we do, but I'd like to be a business mentor, what can I do to support the process there? Then let us know. Christian and team will be in touch with you there straight after that. And finally, and I don't want to play this one down at all, because there's the influencers. So if you can't do those three things, you can be an influencer. You can tell people about what we're trying to do. You can tell people about the importance of what it is that we're trying to do. We talked about £18 billion a year, the cost of reoffending to the country. It's £43,000 a year to keep somebody in prison as well. And that's how it breaks down to there. So that's a figure I think we can all see if there's anything we can do on that in these current times as well. So if you know of any business that may be interested in getting involved at any level, whatever it is, please let us know. We can do the reaching out, send the information, etc., and start those conversations. So just move on to awarding process and timetables. Said right from the start, time's tight. Expression of interest will be available on the website, straight on the NFM website, straight after this meeting. Clear process for clarification. Any points that aren't clear on there, let us know in that window there. Send them, email them to the NFN email address, and we'll answer those. These bids, say, lead to evaluation, then awards, and then mobilisation by the 14th of February. We don't know how many bids we'll receive. And we don't know if they're going to be more than that we can fund. Not all, if there are, not all will be successful. However, all will be measured against a weighted evaluation, a fair evaluation process, which is transparent. Okay, so, and that's more or less where we are. That's it now, apart from question and answers, really. But whichever decision you choose, please follow us, using the social media sites there, so Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and you'll see how the project's developing. So as we open real work environments and start to put some case studies on there, you'll be able to see the impact that that's having. And just remember that as a pilot, what we see made inside Britain is something that can evidence that if we properly support organisations and with seed funding and with a real rounded approach with Ants Junction, etc. as well, and that type of support, we create systemic change. And by that we mean we pull everybody together, working behind the prison leaver for their benefit. And what we hope to do is create real sustainable opportunities for prison leavers and provide industry with what they consider to be valued staff, which is what we call recruiting differently. So the final thing before Q&A, we'll just leave this slide up there, the feedback slide. If you can just have a look at that QR code or go onto the website, and there's just a couple of minutes worth of questions. It's incredibly helpful for us if you can tell us what you got out of today and also what you didn't get out of today. Okay, so at that point now, it's that dreaded bit where I ask for questions and see if hands go up. Oh, thank you, Emma. Have you stopped shaking?
I haven't stopped shaking because I'm so excited. I feel like I've been waiting for this my whole life, really. So just very briefly, I'll tell you why that is. So one of the reasons is because I have a lot of friends who've been through the prison system, and I currently work with an ex-prisoner in Recycle IT. So one day a week I do CSR with him, and he's part of Ants, and that's why I got to come on this call today. So he's just amazing, and it's inspiring to be with him. Also, my sister, who is severely dyslexic, ended up doing psychology and criminology, and one of her best mates through that had gone on that course in order to understand why he kept reoffending, which I think is just fantastic. And by the way, prison's a great place to do your revision for your finals, although it would have been better if he hadn't been convicted in his last year. So that's that. So she's now prison governor in Jersey. She's head of the prison service out there, and very keen to sort of connect with you guys anyway. Then the other reason that I'm really excited is I completely adore the Timpson family, because I have three adopted children, and the Timpson family have supported Adoption Matters for a long time, which is the organisation where I adopted through. And the third personal reason why it's really important is because I have a nearly 16-year-old and a 14-year-old who are going to go one of two ways. And I'm really hoping that they don't have to do the lived experience behind bars. But we have got some, let's say, executive function missing and some really bad decision making. So I've had, the motorway police rock up at my house early in the morning with my son having been found in a twocked vehicle, and all sorts of other really fun things. So basically, everything you're doing here could be very personal for me, but hopefully my sons will not end up there. So that's that. And I don't even have a question, just to say I'm really excited. I'm sat next to Ed, who he has an idea for a real work environment. We'll connect with Marilyn from the Blair Project and a few others and put a pitch into you. Definitely would love to do the mentor piece, and just feel really inspired and really so happy to be connected with this group of people, and anything we can do to help, we'll do it. I don't have a question at all, sorry about that, but just so happy and excited to be with like-minded people, and that this opportunity exists for people like my friends. Cheers.
Oh, thank you very much, Emma. Well, you've made my day. Anyway, thank you for that, and we look forward to receiving your expression of interest. Really appreciate that. Okay, any other questions? Anybody else? No.
Oh, I do have a question. Sorry, I do have a question, genuinely. Yeah, a lot of people who end up in prisons and also coming out of prisons will have had really severe trauma. And I was just wondering, as well as sort of the career coaching and work skills and everything else, do we have, or could we find access to therapeutic support for addressing some of the underlying trauma that still gets in their way of getting on with their lives?
Okay, who could take that question? Christian?
Yeah, I think good question, Emma. I think there are some services available already to support that, but as you can imagine, are quite limited. We do signpost through our through the GATE program to support people where that's required. But yeah, I think it is something that we can look at. It's not within the remit of this particular project to be funded, but that isn't to say that there isn't opportunities to support that sort of initiative, definitely.
I think it would be really helpful. I mean, we're sponsoring one of our employees. She's in her 50s. She's not been to prison, but she's an adopted person, and she's never been able to get into work before. And we pay for her to have therapy, because until she does that, she's been in fight or flight, and she just hasn't been able to work. Yeah. So if there is a way we can signpost to that, and if there's an opportunity to bid for funding for that at some point, we'd love to support that too.
Okay, yeah, let's have a chat about that.
Thank you. Okay, so I've got a hand up from Rachel. Have you got a question for us, Rachel?
Yeah, I do. So I work for Clean Start. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's within Trafford Housing Trust. And we already employ ex-offenders, ex-military, long-term unemployed, long-term homeless. So quite experienced in that already, because the service we provide is a 1-year fixed-term contract where they do 2 weeks volunteering. We see how they fit into the team, because what they're doing is maintaining the Trafford Housing Trust properties. So grounds maintenance, cleaning, things like that. But what we don't know much about is Rottle. So we'd like to see how that would work, because we don't know if they can have customer interaction. And as I understand it, they can't use a mobile phone and things like that, and what sort of supervision the people would need. Do you have any more information on that?
Yeah, I think it seems that there's a few myths in there that we can bust for you there, Rachel.
Please.
So what we'll do, though, is probably best that Lucy Williams contacts you. Lucy looks after Greater Manchester, Merseyside and Cheshire. So I'm sure we'll get your email address from the Eventbrite and tee that up to go through the whole process. But what we tend to do with ROTL is someone will visit and we'll look at specifically at what the roles are, and then we'll match appropriate candidates to your roles. So there's no real blanket to it. There are some rules that we follow, but we'll make sure that we wouldn't send anybody out to you that there's any concern with. Now that's the broad brush on it, but I'm sure Lucy will be in touch over the next sometime early next week.
Well, because also we've got a partnership with HMP Style, and they would like to send someone out to us on ROTL, and we're just trying to understand. We've done it once before, and it was quite difficult. So yeah, it'd be good to get some more information on it because I'm quite new here, so it'd be good for me as well.
No problem. No, we'll pick that up early next week for you.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Oh, great. Thanks for that. Okay. Another question? Who have we got? A legacy hand. Dan, I can't see the question.
Vicky Jeffers.
Hello, Vicky.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi, everybody. It's just really to come back in on a couple of the comments about support, particularly from, I think it was Emma that mentioned it. It's not something that DWP necessarily would get involved in, but if somebody is having to claim universal credit, we've got networks of prison work coaches in all the resettlement prisons that if they choose to engage with us, we will signpost and support them. Work coaches, obviously, when they're through the gate. We have a small network of work psychologists. So if somebody does need that more detailed support, we can use that referral mechanism. But also we've got a large community of employers that I'm in the process of typing the email to, so that we can share this across the Northwest. And a shout out for a new role that we've got in supporting people who've served. So I'm the Armed Forces lead for the Northwest, and we've got champions that cover each of our districts that you've mentioned previously, Andrew: Cumberland, Lancashire, Cheshire, Merseyside, Greater Manchester. And we are seeing lots of very complex cases. We're helping not only with benefit support where things are maybe not going quite right, but signposting to other organisations that offer some really good support. So yeah, don't forget your local friendly neighbourhood DWP.
Thanks very much, Vicky, and thanks for all your support. Okay, so any other questions?
Just to build for Vicky, I finally came off universal credit this month. So I've been surviving on benefits, and I mean surviving, for 4 years since I had a massive breakdown. And navigating the DWP world with mental health is not easy. So if I can help with lived experience or anything like that, do reach out, because I'm now in a sane enough place to be useful, as well as working. Thank you.
Thanks, Emma. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, well, if not, Amy, fire away.
Hello, it's not really, can you, yeah, I'm on mute. I wasn't on mute, I was just going to turn myself off then, sorry. It's not really a question, just really to say, brilliant session, it's been really, really useful. So I'm representing AAT, so we're an awarding organisation, and we're not probably at this stage yet, but maybe further down the line when we're looking at there being those employment places, or if there's training programs happening. One of our key strategies nationally at the moment is to engage with prisons and look at how we can support upskilling and training on a lower level. So whilst we offer a lot of accountancy qualifications, we also offer things like business skills and bookkeeping at level 1, which is being identified as quite key qualifications and courses for ex-offenders. So further down the line, if anybody wants to engage and have that conversation, it is one of our key strategies at AAT.
Thanks, Amy.
No worries.
We'll pick that one up as hopefully, if a bid comes in that's requiring business admin support, then we'll be straight in touch.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay. So if there's no other questions at that point, I'll do something I very rarely do, is give you 10 minutes of your time back. So thanks very much, everybody. It's been a pleasure today. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Absolutely terrific. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great weekend.
And you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.